The Lantern and the Fox. Once upon a time, in a forest shadowed by a long and terrible fire, there lived a small, quiet fox named Solon. The trees were scorched, the rivers muddy, and the once lively glades were silent. Solon had survived the fire, but not without scars. His fur was patchy, his paws calloused, and his heart heavy with memories of things he couldn't forget and wasn't sure he should. Each night he asked the wind the same questions. Am I still a fox after all this? Or just something left behind? Is there any meaning to what I've seen? Will I ever feel safe again? Was I good or just lucky? Can the forest forgive me? Can I forgive myself? The wind never answered. One cold evening, as Solon wandered farther than he ever had, he found an old, crooked lantern flickering weakly beneath a tree stump. The glass was cracked. The flame inside barely danced, but something about it felt warm, even kind. He sat beside it and whispered his worries, not expecting anything to change. But the lantern whispered back, "You are still here," it said gently. "That is already something." Startled, Solon asked, "But what if I'm broken?" The lantern pulsed, small and steady. Even broken things can shine, sometimes more beautifully. Solon began returning night after night, talking to the lantern. He told it about the things he'd seen, animals fleeing in fear, trees screaming as they fell, the ashes he'd stepped over, the friends he couldn't save. He even admitted the things he'd done to survive, things he was ashamed of. The lantern never judged. One night, Solon asked the hardest question. Will I ever feel safe again? The lantern was quiet for a long time, then it replied, Safety isn't the absence of fear. It's the presence of hope and the courage to return to life anyway. So Solon began rebuilding a nest here, a flower planted there. He invited small creatures to share his den in winter, taught young ones which berries to eat, and slowly the forest began to whisper back, not with judgment, but with gratitude. One day, a badger cub asked him, Mr. Solon, were you always this kind? Solon paused, then smiled. No, I learned. After forgetting, I remembered. And that night, when he visited the lantern again, it was gone. In its place, a trail of teeny golden lights stretched into the trees. He followed it until dawn and found himself standing in a field of young green shoots growing from scorched earth. For the first time in many seasons, Solon didn't feel heavy. He felt like a fox. Or rather, he felt again. Not because the past had vanished, but because the future had quietly returned. More. Even when you feel lost in the ashes of what you've done or endured, there is a light within you, still willing to grow. Forgiveness is not forgetting, it's learning how to carry the truth with gentleness. And meaning, it lives in how you begin again.